Some TCW action. If you're watching this, this is the first house show. We will be trying out some new talent that we have not seen on the main roster in the past, and that is because the roster size is being increased from 25 to 30, so a good performance tonight could very well lead to many participants making it onto the main roster, and we have a very interesting card. Hope you guys are excited. As up first we have Karl Gotch and Luthez. Karl Gotch in the purple tights, Luthez in the light blue. And for, people returning who have seen the past TCW episodes, we just got out of TCW Soul Survivor, which was a absolutely stupendous pay-per-view to say the least. Pretty big results all around. If you haven't seen it already, I very much recommend that you check it out. Although I will go through some of the results. I mean, we saw the big belt change hands on Soul Survivor. And that was a pay-per-view that took place on Thanksgiving. The Warrior took on The Undertaker for the very first time, and it was a shocking display, to be sure. The Ultimate Warrior was undefeated up until that point and paid the ultimate price as The Undertaker buried him in very quick succession, and that was a great match. And now The Undertaker is the Ultimate Champion of TCW, and I've got to say, was I excited about it? Not so much, because the Ultimate Warrior was, he was delivering great matches. If you're unaware, me and two other YouTubers, and I can drop their profiles in the comments or what have you, their pages rather. We do a week by week pretty much competition where we have ratings set up, and overall whoever has the best week rating wins that week, and then you get different advantages, and wrestlers keep popularity and all that. And the Warrior was definitely the face of the company, but Taker does what Taker does best, I should say. So he is the current champion. Then we had the US title on the line in a very exciting match as Tanahashi, the champion, took on HBK, the challenger, and he would retain. And then the tag titles were not on the line because the Ultimate Warrior, one half of the Blade Runners, were the champions and unable to defend both titles on pay-per-view. But we will be seeing, as Luthez lands a pile driver there on Karl Gotch, we will be seeing the tag titles defended very soon on TCW TV for week 9, which will be coming up relatively soon, as soon as the other GMs are able to record up to the pay-per-view. So we'll have to see when that comes out. But again, this is an exciting time as we are going to be expanding, and you should think of these as tryouts, so to speak. And I'm interested to see how these guys do and test the waters, so to speak. And I hope you enjoy this classic matchup between Gotch and Luthez, two old-time wrestlers who, by the looks of it, could, jump into the main event scene instantly. And we're going to have a 5-match card today for this house show, which should be pretty exciting. Obviously, this match is Thez Gotch. Then we're going to have Riki Dozan against Riki Choshu, two Japanese legends. Then the Funk Brothers will go at it in match 3. After that, Harley Race will be taking on Nick Bockwinkel. And the main event, Taker versus Taker. It was good enough to main event SummerSlam. It is good enough to main event TCW house shows. That's for certain. And if you're watching this on a delay, I hope you enjoy. I mean, this is sort of non-canon. It's not going to necessarily mess up the storylines going. I mean, obviously, it's not going to mess up anything, as everyone save the main event is not on the roster. But moving forward, I mean, it is canon in that if they do get picked up because of this, probably be mentioned. But nice, I guess, helicopter hold, you could say, we saw popularized by Eugene. And this is a really good display. You can tell they both have great stamina. They have that classic mat wrestling background here. Back to what I was saying, if an injury happens at a house show, it's not going to be treated the same ways as if it happened on TV. Very similar, if you have seen the NWA qualifying tournament, that was non-TV or pay-per-view. It wasn't for a rating in the Battle of the Booker competition we're doing, but fun nonetheless, and can help build some lore for the storylines that you might not, or I might not, have time to do with the allotted matches. And Luthez picks up the victory, and he has to be a favorite to be picked up moving forward. That was a fantastic match. I'm excited to see what the rating was. Only an 81. And, not bad. You have to wonder, was it Carl Gotch that brought the rating down? I'm not sure. But under these circumstances, that would be, a decent match for TV. But, is that going to be good enough? Well, we'll have to see, guys. And if you have anyone that you would like to see, obviously there are 2 other rosters, so 50 other guys currently, and that's about to expand to 60 potentially, people who are already on other rosters. But if there's someone who you think might not be picked up, I would like to, hear a comment on who you would like to see picked up potentially, and if they perform well and I think they'd be a good fit and they are available, well, then I will consider picking them up for the roster. This is the perfect time as we are expanding. I have 5 spots. That's why I'm doing this kind of trial basis right now. And now Riki Dozan and Riki Choshu. And certainly going with the throwback style, off the bat. There's definitely some newer guys who I would like to check out, and without tipping my hand, you know, some faster paced guys. You know, the thing is, if you've seen any TCW lately, you can tell there's definitely a main event style brewing. The guys like Warrior, Bruiser, Taker, even Hogan has kind of gotten into the mix. Inoki certainly. They kind of have a very distinct style, and I kind of want them to mesh at least into the main event. And then you can even tell like the mid card is kind of, you know, has its own style with HBK, Omega, Bret Hart, Macho Man. It's kind of different to how you would expect it, but just basing it off of match ratings that's kind of how it is, you know. And these two guys, you know, I don't know too much about. I know Ricky Dozan is, I mean, he was a promoter in Japan. He was one of the big three promoters between Inoki, Baba, and then Ricky Dozan, and then Ricky Choshu is actually, I believe, is the creator of what we now call the sharpshooter, which is pretty cool, and I really have no idea how their styles are going to mesh or whether they're going to have a good match, but hopefully they do. You know, the more the merrier. I'd rather have a hard decision to make towards who I'm going to pick up than an easy one, and I'm looking, these guys are kind of on the outskirts of my imagination on who to bring in, but if they have a good match, both could easily be a part of that top 5 that I mentioned earlier. He throws him into the corner there. And you know, if people enjoy these live broadcasts, certainly be doing them in the future. You know, this just seemed like a very apropos time, and I think even moving forward I'll probably do more, especially in the meantime, while I'm trying to figure out what to do with my roster. There's definitely at least 2 people who I'm almost 100% certain I want to bring on. And I don't want to say just in case gets out, but I think they will definitely fit into the main event style for sure. You know, basically the reason at least I would bring on, you know, additional talent, and for, you know, the uninitiated or those who don't know much about the Battle of the Bookers, the kind of co-op series I'm doing with 2 other YouTubers. What we're doing is, you know, there's 3 weeks per in-game month, so to speak, where you run TV shows with 6 matches, 2 segments, and then a pay-per-view. You do match ratings, you average them for the week or the pay-per-view, and then you get slight advantages based off it. And for the month of January in-game, you were gained a tournament entry, an additional tournament entry for each week that you won. And there was actually, we did run the tournament initially, and it will be reran in the future moving forward, I believe, was the consensus for like an alliance title. So as of now, when we initially ran it, I had 3 people, and when we rerun it, I will have 3 people as well. And you get to defend that title on your show. So if I do win it in the future, it'll be defended the same way that the Ultimate title, tag title, US title was before. And then we are even going to have Alliance tag titles, which should, you know, be pretty cool. I'm excited about that. I mean, the other GMs definitely have good tag divisions. But, you know, I think it's just cool. It just adds depth to what we're doing, essentially. But I would, you know, and another thing that we will be doing is, like, the tournament itself is sort of like a cross-promotional pay-per-view, or at least that's what I've been calling it. So all three GM's talent, so to speak, is going to be intermeshing, fighting against each other, and moving forward, once we get the tournaments out of the way and crown champions, that is when we are going to have pay-per-views that are more or less structured differently, whereas it's not just building up to the main event, so to speak, or it's not a tournament. It'll be like my guys versus, you know, Brandon and Charles are the other GMs, so it might be like a triple threat where all of our guys are facing each other, or my guys versus my guys for this one match, which I think should be really cool. It's, you know, just a good way to build the universe, so to speak. And that was a very close 2.9, and on these house shows I'm not going to be calling the action the same way as the other YouTube videos where I just record one at a time. This is more just a stream of consciousness, so to speak, and giving you guys more background to appreciate the stuff that I am coming out with and the stuff in the future. But so far, I will say, these two guys are killing it. Definitely going to have to take a closer look moving forward, at least on whether I will be picking these guys up to be a part of TCW. They certainly look like they're probably going to have a better match than Gotch and Fez, which is surprising, as I thought they might have, like, they were the dark horse match in my eyes. They still might be picked up, but an 81 was not quite what I was looking for, especially against each other. And Ricky Choshu wins it, and I think they might even get a, there might be 100, I don't know, might be in the 90s, but This, I mean, dark horse match for sure. 97, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look at both of these guys. Potentially bring them both in. I mean, they definitely stole the show there. Now we're gonna have the Funkers go up against each other. Oh man, my bad. See, that's why the TV is usually cut. Because I often make, little mistakes like that. But back to the matter at hand, we're going to have Terry Funk and Dory Funk. And this one, I'm hoping I am surprised. I mean, definitely think there is some potential in these two guys. And for one, Funk is he has a dual purpose in that, he could be used against like Pentagon Jr. or like a Great Muta. He can pull off those hardcore type matches, or he could like do a mat wrestling clinic, so to speak. So that's kind of the main reason that I'm choosing these guys. And again, like Dory, much like Gotch and Thez, I thought, would be a good, mat type wrestler who could pull off like consistently good matches and kind of match the style of someone like Inoki, who generally has really good matches. So stylistically, I think he would fit in really good in that in that way. But we'll see. I mean, Ricky Chosu and Ricky Dozan, really didn't expect them to have as good a match, and that could be either they're just really evenly matched more than anything. So, the other house shows I might just have to see like how they do against the TCW roster, but at least for now it's kind of interesting to see how they match up here, in the proving grounds. And for anyone who, ends up watching this, if you know how to get rid of the top bar and that side bar, I would greatly appreciate it if you could drop a comment. It's kind of why I'm not super focused on him, because I'm trying to figure that out right now myself.
13.
So I mean, as you can see, Dory, sorry for the pause there. I was reading an email actually from another one of the GMs, and so basically at the end of the quarter, you're able to do the talent acquisition. So basically, from what I understand, these guys will be available to be picked after this next month. Okay, so they won't be on the show until then, as Dory applies this spinning toe hold move that runs in the Funk bloodline.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
So, you know, I'm excited about that, obviously. I mean, for the month being, I think we will certainly be fine. You know, even give me an opportunity to, kind of get some payoff from guys who will likely be leaving. I mean, with the additional 5 guys that I'll be able to bring on, nice bridging German by Terry. You know, with the additional guys that I'll be able to bring on, I'm not sure if I'll get rid of the certain people who I was considering getting rid of. Story's going for another suplex there. So it'll give me even more time to scout talent. Which is good, because there are some guys who, had it been more instantaneous, the ability to pick up 5 superstars, I might have discounted certain people and just gone with, you know, some of the people who would be on this house show, and wow, Dory Funk picks up the win via referee stoppage. quite impressive. But, you know, now that I'll have more time to run these simulations and see, you know, might have to put Dory against someone else just to see whether it was Funk not being a great opponent or just the fact that the crit landed there. I mean, you know, I've had some really good and really bad matches with some of the top talent on my roster just because of crits. So, if someone has a high chance of landing a crit, it's kind of a burden in some ways. But depending on how the rest of their parameters are set up and how good they are overall, really, the matches can be worth it. If you've followed TCW TV pay-per-views, you could probably think of like one or two guys who've done it during the season. And then there's other guys who you might know to have a type of reputation to do that. But this match right here, it's definitely the match to look out for. This is the match coming in where I was like, this is going to be the match of the night, and I certainly hope it is. Again, we're going to have a main event following this, match 5, as Taker will take on Taker. Try saying that 5 times fast. Hope you enjoy it again. Right now, it's kind of, we're just doing like a little tryout session, so to speak. So, if you have any guys that you think might still be available, or just any guys in general, I guess. I mean, there's probably some guys you would assume who are gone, but for the most part, all the big top names like AJ Styles, D-Bry, a lot of people that are like that have been picked up already, and that's kind of why my style has kind of evolved into what it is now, and is why I'm kind of recruiting a certain way. I would say the fast-paced, you know, I guess modern style was kind of picked up by the other two GMs. I'd have to look again because I could be speaking out of turn here, but I'm pretty sure that Charles kind of has that style, and Brandon he has like the Attitude Era stars for the most part. So he's kind of the hybrid, I would say, between my like Battle of the Titans classic 80s, like, I mean, the best way I could explain it is it's Hulk versus Warrior, and that's a match that we've had on TCW TV, and kind of personifies the pinnacle of what the style is, at least in the main event. But it kind of permeates throughout it, because like our main eventers are kind of have far-reaching storyline interference or influence. Then, you know, we have a Japanese style, Omega Inoki, who's almost his own style. I mean, if you have seen him wrestle on my channel or on your own, you kind of know that he is very unique. He probably would have fit right in with Karl Gotch and Lou Thesz's match. You got Shinsuke, Okada, Naito, Muta, who again is very unique in his style. He probably fits in more or less with the Pentagon Jr., who is also on the roster. So you have your pockets here and there, and then, you know, kind of bubbles. And then the mid-card, again, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Macho, Dusty, Flair, kind of fit in with that main event style more. So, I mean, you're starting to get an idea of how there's kind of people fit in to you know, their division, so to speak, or they mesh well with certain guys. But, I mean, we're going to get to see those styles all kind of clash at some point, you know. And we have so many classic matches that we've yet to see, you know, put on the table yet. I mean, we did have Warrior versus Hogan, which is probably the biggest match for at least the Warrior, and maybe top 3 for Hogan. I mean, Andre certainly. But and then Macho probably would have to be up there too. But I mean, Warrior would be a good argument for top 3, if just barely. Yeah, but. And then Warrior, I mean, I might be forgetting a big one. I mean, he had his own good match with Macho, depending on your opinion. But, you know, growing up on VHS and watching that WrestleMania 6 main event, that was huge. I mean, that was the ball game. It's like, that is the pinnacle of wrestling entertainment in my eyes, you know. And then I got older and, you know, preferences change, but still, even looking back, it's like you have to respect it for sure. But back to the point at hand, these two guys, at least in my head, fit in very well with the style I'm trying to keep consistent with the main eventers. And, you know, when I drafted, I mean, and I could even go through the picks, and, you know, I'll just give you guys an advantage, you know, a little idea. And this is, you know, in order, my top 9 guys are all kind of mid-carders. So round 1 through 9, not really, they haven't broken to the main event yet, at least. And, you know, they might have been the main event for a show, but they're not like top title contenders, so to speak. That's probably the best word that I'm looking for. So they're not heavyweight title guys, but, you know, they were guys who I thought, oh, these guys are going to put on great matches with everyone. They're going to be consistent 100s, 5-star matches all around. HBK, Omega, who actually did not mesh well against each other. I mean, they got in the 80s, but I was like, this is going to be a 100 easy. Wasn't. Savage, same thing. Brett, I think Brett could crack the top title picture, but I mean, we'll have to see moving forward. He's kind of got to build some momentum. He's been in the tag division. I think that could be holding him back. Okada, I think he could crack it. Like, he would have to go on kind of a hot streak, so to speak. So, same thing as Brett, but might be less likely. We'll have to see. Nakamura, I expected him to do better than what he has done, but again, the tag scene has kind of maybe diverted some guys who would be better suited elsewhere. You know, if you guys have a take on it, I'd like to hear. Muda, who again, I don't know whether he could be a top title guy, but I think he's well suited for the mid card, and he could excel there. We might have a count out here.
18, 19.
Look at these guys, man. Sting, he was legit out the gates. I mean, he was winning fatal four-ways off the bat, but he got taken out by Tanahashi. And then Flair, I would say, could be, I mean, he's almost in the same boat as Brett. He could easily be in the top title picture, but as of now, hasn't been given the right push, so to speak. And then Taker, obviously, the current champion. But he was the 10th pick. Okay, and he's the champ. And then Warrior, my 11th pick, was the inaugural champ, undefeated, one loss, and that's against Taker. Not what you would expect. And I think the big challenge was, it's in a hard way, it's hard to match up with those guys. You start getting these guys who are like mythical in nature, like their edits are going to be made, and wow, we're going to have a count out. Harley just barely squeaks out a victory against Nick Bockwinkel, wins by count out. If we do another house show, we might have to see a rubber match for sure between those two, and I'm excited to see what the rating is. Expect something in the high 90s or a 100. Wow. Did not see that one coming. It's hard to tell what you're going to get match rating wise sometimes. I thought that was going to be a lot higher. And to be honest, the Riki Choshu and Dozan match, I did not expect to do nearly as well as it did. But it's why you run the sim, my dudes. This is going to be a non-title matchup. As the champ is going to take on the imposter, I guess. I mean, who's who? I lost track already. And here's what's also crazy. Hogan, pick 21. Lesnar, pick 22. Magnum, TA, who again, he's top title picture for sure. I mean, if you've witnessed any TCW TV, he's the man. He was pick 23. And Bruiser, pick 17. Inoki, pick 13. I mean, really no one who is in the title picture now, the top title picture that is, was taken in the top 10. And I think that would be really surprising for some people. And probably one of the main things that I'm seeing right now is those guys who I kind of saved for late because of how dominant they can be in this game, have tipped the scale to where they almost need their own division of guys who are on that level to face, or otherwise it's hard to book them. And anyone else who is running eFed might be familiar with what I'm talking about, but and Taker's gonna try to end this one really quickly. If you saw TCW Soul Survivor, you know, well, if you haven't, check it out. If you have, you know that Taker looks like a man possessed. And coming out of that Warrior match, he is one to look out for. He's probably the force to be reckoned with so far. And he has a match with destiny, as he's going to face Bruiser Brody at some point. It won't be week 9. So he has that date off. And a tentative schedule for week 9 TCW TV. In match 1, the Great Muta will take on the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Match 2, Magnum TA will tag with Hulk Hogan for the first time on TCW TV, as they will take on Ted DiBiase and Brock Lesnar, who we saw feuding, for lack of a better word. Taker had to face DiBiase to become #1 contender for the title, and Brock inserted himself in that match, and he attacked Ted DiBiase in that #1 contenders match, and now here they are tagging together. Match 3, the #1 contender Bruiser Brody will be taking on Roddy Piper. Another great pick, great talent who fits right in that top title picture, in a match to get ready for his title match. Then Stan Hansen will take on the son of a plumber, Dusty Rhodes, for the US title #1 contendership. Then we're going to have two co-main events. Match 5, the co-main. Hiromu Tanahashi will take on Okada rather, for the US title. Champion Tanahashi is going to have to try and retain against the up-and-coming, hungry young ace of Japan, Okada. And then the main event, the duos titles are on the line, as the Blade Runners, Sting and Warrior, take on Inoki and Naito. And Inoki looks scary, but was defeated on pay-per-view by Bruiser. So that is going to be a very interesting match to keep an eye out for. And again, week 9 will be coming out just as soon as the other GMs are able to record their weeks and pay-per-view. I'm sure I'll be able to record more house shows in the meantime, so I will be keeping you posted on that. But again, if you're catching this after the live broadcast, you can stay tuned to the channel. I might try to drop hints there, or you can follow the Twitter account, TMZ_YT, at TMZ_YT, all lowercase, and I will be informing the masses as to what the haps are, keeping you all posted as to when more recordings will come out as Taker goes for the old school and connects in which Taker is which. I mean, this one at least is easier to call as there's purple and gray. And this is probably the best matchup. One of the better matchups that we've seen with Taker. And he almost gets it. Nice eye rake there. The vertical suplex by Gray Taker. A running DDT. So this was the main event that I was referencing earlier. I mean, I have Taker on the roster. It's not so much a tryout, rather a showcase for the talent that I do have. Taker's going to be top billing here, at least as long as he has the title, with next week being the exception. And that just plays into some of the roles and guidelines that we do have for the Battle of the Bookers, as I have been billing it so eloquently. Can't have guys wrestling, more than 4 weeks in a row generally without, ramifications, so to speak. And got to keep the champ healthy. We all know that. We've seen what happens when you don't. Get a Finn Balor situation where they never recover to the heights that they attained. It's kind of a different situation, but you get the point. Can't have my champ being injured. And a low blow. And this is certainly a better match than the Undertaker Warrior match. This one could go on all night, folks. Who is the imposter? Which one is real? We will certainly find out by the end of the broadcast. Nice running DDT there. Another running DDT. A nice short clothesline, and obviously this is a little different format as Gray Taker takes down Purple Taker. What a surprise victory there. Did we find our imposter? And wow, who would have guessed a 100 from that match? That's why Big Papi booked it, no doubt. And I hope that you did enjoy it. Certainly be out on the lookout for these moving forward. Again, check out the Twitter page. You'll be seeing videos, obviously, if you subscribe and like. But I can give a advance notice for these types of videos if you did enjoy. And if you did enjoy, I hope you have a great night as well. That's all I've got, and have a great night, ladies and gentlemen.